The free rides again. The Libreng Sakay program is back soon. Fast, focused, and fearless, here's a roundup of stories we're watching now. I'm Denise Tan. The Overseas Workers Welfare Administration confirmed that 5 OFWs from Kibbutz Be'eri in Israel are still missing. Kibbutz Be'eri is a community close to Gaza Strip, which is the center of Hamas's attack. So far, there are over 200 Filipinos there. Meanwhile, according to OWWA, 24 OFWs from southern Israel are in a safe bomb shelter in Tel Aviv. For its part, the Department of Foreign Affairs reported 2 Pinoys were treated for injuries but that they have since been discharged from hospital. The DFA is also assured that the Filipino students earlier rumored to have been abducted have all been accounted for. The agency is still verifying reports of a Filipino being held hostage by Hamas. Israeli ambassador to the Philippines, Ilan Flos, assures that Filipinos in his country are being treated like any other citizen. That means OFWs are being given equal protection after militant group Hamas attacked Israel on October 7. According to Flos, nearly 3,700 missiles have been fired toward Israel from Gaza since Saturday.
Filipinos, OFWs, are treated the same and equal like Israeli citizens. We will do our best to protect them, to give them whatever services they need.
Meanwhile, Flos said Israel is prioritizing its response against Hamas and tending to those who have been affected. Questions have been emerging about how the Palestinian armed group was able to infiltrate Israel's heavily fortified border.
We have to focus now on stabilizing the situation, take care of the injured, bury the dead, help the families. On the same time, we have to seal the border again, and of course, eliminate and destroy terror infrastructure of Hamas in Gaza. And this war, as you also said, I believe it will take time. Difficult to say an exact time frame, but it's not going to be like past operations, as you know, 2 or 3 days and that's it.
The death toll from the Israel and Hamas conflict has jumped to over 1,100. In Israel, at least 700 people have died, including several U.S. citizens. Tel Aviv's airstrikes continue, hitting housing blocks, mosques, and homes of Hamas officials. These retaliatory attacks have killed over 400 people, at least 20 of whom were children. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has earlier vowed of, quote, mighty vengeance over Hamas's surprise attack. We're bringing you more stories after this quick break. Keep it here on One News. Thanks for staying with us here on One News Now. I'm Denise Tan. An early holiday gift for commuters, the Libreng Sakay program is set to return next month. The LTFRB announced that the free rides will not only include the EDSA busway but also traditional and modern jeepneys. The government is eyeing to implement this by November until early January once the 1.3 billion peso allocated budget is released. The free rides program was implemented for 2 years amid the pandemic and ended in January this year. A big-time reprieve for motorists this week as oil prices are slashed after weeks of increase. Effective of October 10, Tuesday, gasoline prices will be lower by 3 pesos and 5 centavos a liter. Diesel, meanwhile, will be cheaper by 2 pesos and 45 centavos a liter, and kerosene by 3 pesos a liter. This is a third straight week of rollbacks for gasoline and kerosene. The decrease is on the back of sustained interest rates. A stronger dollar also weakened demand for oil from other countries as seen in a huge price drop during last week's trading. In sports, Gilas is welcomed warmly by fans after a successful bid to reclaim the gold in the Asian Games. Here's the story. Fresh off their historic gold finish in the Asian Games, Gilas Pilipinas has returned home from China. Fans welcomed the national team at the NAIA Terminal 1 early Sunday. 2 days after the successful gold reclamation bid that took 6 decades to complete, Gilas head coach Tim Cohn is still beyond belief on what had transpired at the Hangzhou Games. The Philippines last won the Asian gold in 1962, the last of the country's 4 straight golds in the tournament. For Cohn, this is 25 years after he and the Philippine Centennial team won bronze at the 1998 Games. That was the last time the country reached the podium before Friday's win over Jordan in the final.
I don't know if that'll ever sink in, but I mean, it's almost like it's speechless. When we needed to, we saved our best for last and played big when we needed to play most big. So, it was just a thrill to be with all those guys and watch them grow and in the short time that we had.
To recall, the country only had a short window to prepare for the Asian Games. This is because the Philippines had to focus on the hosting of and the team's campaign in the FIBA World Cup. The Nationals only had almost 2 weeks of training for the quadrennial event. Add to that the eligibility issues on stalwarts Calvin Abueva, Terence Romeo, Jason Perkins, and Moto Tua. The team had to field in replacement players at the last minute. Meanwhile, fans also held a big welcome for naturalized player Justin Brownlee. Brownlee is seen as a driving force behind the country's successful campaign in the Asian. This was most evident in the semifinals against China when he willed the Philippines to victory. Brownlee calls the Asian gold the sweetest victory of his career in this part of the world.
It's got to be up at the top, despite, everything that's with the history, 60-something years, such a surreal moment. We had to play some tough teams in China, Iran, and of course Jordan. It wasn't easy for us, probably the toughest thing in my opinion.
After this, Gilas will have a short rest before returning to their mother teams in the PBA. Even Coach Cohn doesn't have plans yet for Gilas at this point. The new PBA season is kicking off on November 5. One News Now will be back tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. I'm Denise Tan. We are One News, all sides, all the time.